Padre Pio of Pietrelcina, the Capuchin friar who lived between 1887 and 1968, is known for his stigmata, miracles, and deep spirituality. But there is an aspect of his life that remains shrouded in mystery and fascination: his prophetic visions. Although he lived in the 20th century, many of his messages seem to have been written for today. And among these revelations, there is a series of predictions attributed to him that point directly to the year 2025. What makes this even more unsettling is that many of the signs he is said to have described are already happening, and in frightening ways. According to accounts preserved by devotees and scholars, Padre Pio spoke of a period of great spiritual and material tribulation, marked by extreme natural events, global crises, and an urgent call to return to faith. He is said to have declared, "The world will be shaken from within and without, and those who are not firm in prayer will be carried away by the wind of confusion." This phrase, though symbolic, takes on real form when we look at recent events. Earthquakes in once stable regions, devastating storms, prolonged droughts, and successive floods. The planet seems to be in convulsion, as if nature itself were responding to something beyond science, echoing a spiritual warning. Padre Pio also reportedly said that the church will be tested as never before, and many of its children will be lost for lack of light. This vision connected the crisis of faith spreading throughout the world. Empty churches, internal scandals, doctrinal divisions, and a growing spiritual indifference mark today's religious landscape. In many countries, faith has ceased to be a pillar of daily life, replaced by ideologies, consumerism, and digital distractions. What Padre Pio foresaw was not merely an institutional decline, but the loss of connection between humanity and the divine. He warned, "Without prayer, the heart becomes stone, and the soul is lost in the desert of reason." And this desert seems to be expanding. Another central point in Padre Pio's prophecies for 2025 is the so-called Great Spiritual Awakening. He reportedly said, "When everything seems lost, a light will rise in the midst of darkness, and those who know how to recognize it will be saved." According to interpreters of his messages, this light is not a physical event, but a shift in consciousness, a silent yet powerful movement where ordinary people begin to seek meaning, reconnection, and transcendence. And this is already happening. Amid the chaos, more and more people are turning to meditation, prayer, and inner search, not necessarily within traditional religious structures, but in alternative spaces, spiritual communities, and silent retreats. It is as if the collective soul were responding to call Padre Pio saw decades ago. But not everyone hears this call. Padre Pio warned, "Those who mock the faith will be the first to fall, for they will have nowhere to lean when the ground trembles." This image is striking and frightening. It suggests that the times of 2025 will not only be difficult but decisive, that there will be a separation between those who are spiritually prepared and those who live on the surface, and the signs of this separation are already visible. Social polarization, rising violence, the trivialization of life, the disregard for moral values, all point to a deep crisis, not only political or economic, but spiritual. Padre Pio reportedly said, "Evil will disguise itself as progress, and many will follow it thinking they are evolving, when in truth they are moving away from the light." In addition, there are accounts that he foresaw cosmic phenomena as part of the signs of 2025. "The sky will speak, and men will be afraid to look up," he reportedly said. This phrase, interpreted by many as a reference to astronomical events, gains weight in light of recent discoveries about solar storms, planetary alignments, and possible threats from space. While science treats these events cautiously, there is growing unease about their potential impact on Earth, from failures in communication systems to changes in the magnetic field. For Padre Pio, these signs are not only physical but spiritual. He saw the cosmos as part of divine creation, and any disturbance in it as a reflection of human disorder. The most frightening prophecy, however, is the one that speaks of 3 days of darkness. Although this vision is not directly tied to 2025, many believe it connects to the events already unfolding. Padre Pio reportedly described a period when the world will be plunged into darkness, not only physical but spiritual. During those days, demons will walk the earth, and those who are not in prayer will be swept away by despair, he is said to have declared. This image, though symbolic, resonates with a sense of anguish, fear, and confusion that grips many hearts today. It is as if we were already living a preview of those days, when the light of reason and faith seems ever more distant. The words attributed to Padre Pio about what would happen in 2025 are not just vague warnings. They form a spiritual map that seems to be unfolding before our very eyes. In Part 2, we dive deeper into the revelations he is said to have made about this decisive year, and how current events seem to confirm, step by step, each of these visions. According to account preserved by the faithful and scholars, Padre Pio spoke of a time of purification, when everything hidden will be revealed, and when every soul will be called to choose between light and darkness. He is said to have declared, "The veil will be torn, and eyes will see what was once invisible." This phrase, though symbolic, becomes tangible when we look at the exponential rise in scandals, shocking revelations, and truths being exposed across all spheres, political, religious, scientific, and personal. It is as if the world is being stripped bare, and every structure laid open in its fragility. Padre Pio also warned of a great spiritual confusion, where even those who consider themselves firm in faith would be tested. He is said to have declared, "The enemy will dress in light, and many will follow, thinking they are saved." This image is unsettling, for it suggests that deception will not come from outside, but from within, that false prophets, misguided leaders, and corrupted systems will present themselves as solutions, when in truth they are instruments of ruin. And this is already happening. Across the world, we see the growth of movements that mix spirituality with extreme ideologies, promising peace while sowing division, speaking of love while cultivating hatred. Padre Pio reportedly said, "Those who do not pray with a heart will be swept away by the current of lies," indicating that only deep, authentic faith will be able to discern the true from false. Another central point in the prophecies for 2025 is the role of nature as a divine messenger. Padre Pio is said to have mentioned, "The earth will weep, and men will not understand her tears." This phrase directly connects with the extreme climate events already unfolding: devastating wildfires, floods that sweep away entire cities, droughts turning fertile fields into deserts. Science tries to explain, but there is something beyond the data, a sense that the planet is reacting to humanity's disconnection. Vonga, Nostradamus, and other prophets also spoke of this, but Padre Pio went further. He saw these events as part of divine pedagogy, a call to conversion. He reportedly declared, "Every thunder will be God's cry, every lightning strike a warning, every earthquake an invitation to change." The Church, according to Padre Pio, would also undergo an unprecedented trial. He is said to have spoken of shepherds who lost their staff and sheep who follow wolves. This image is striking and sadly already visible. Internal scandals, doctrinal divisions, loss of moral authority, and growing spiritual indifference define today's religious landscape. In many places, the Church seems more concerned with politics than with souls, more entangled in internal disputes than in evangelization. Padre Pio reportedly said, "Altars will be profaned and the sacrament forgotten," pointing to profound crisis that is not only institutional but spiritual. Yet he also said, "The little ones will be great and the hidden will be light," suggesting that renewal will come from the simple, the humble, those who keep faith alive in the silence of prayer. Technology, though not part of Padre Pio's daily reality, also appears in his visions in symbolic form. He is said to have mentioned, "Men will speak with machines, but forget to speak with God." This phrase, spoken decade before the digital age, sounds like a precise description of today's world. We live connected, yet disconnected. We have access to everything, yet we lose what is essential. Artificial intelligence, algorithms, social media, all these shape our decisions, our emotions, our beliefs. Padre Pio reportedly warned, "Those who feed on the screen will hunger in the soul," indicating that technology, if not used wisely, can become an instrument of distraction, alienation, and ruin. But it is not all despair. Padre Pio also spoke of a new generation of light that would rise amidst the chaos. He is said to have declared, "When the world is in darkness, children will light candles with their pure hands." This image is moving, and it is already beginning to manifest. All around the world, young people are rising with courage, with faith, with a desire for transformation. They do not follow old models, but create new paths. They seek spirituality, justice, compassion. Padre Pio saw in them the hope. He reportedly said, "Those who were born in silence will be the ones to cry out the truth," indicating that renewal will come from those who have not been corrupted by the system. The revelations attributed to Padre Pio about what would happen in 2025 continue to unfold like pieces of a spiritual puzzle that gradually reveal a disturbing picture. In Part 3, we dive into the social and psychological consequences of these prophecies and how they are already shaping human behavior on a global scale. Padre Pio is said to declare that the world will be overtaken by an invisible restlessness, and hearts will beat out of rhythm with peace. This phrase, though poetic, precisely describes today's collective emotional state. Widespread anxiety, mass depression, identity crises, and a constant feeling that something is about to happen. It is not just a matter of mental health. It is a spiritual reflection. The collective soul seems to be in turmoil, as if sensing a profound change approaching. According to accounts preserved by scholars and the faithful, Padre Pio spoke of a long night of the soul, where many would lose their sense of purpose and seek answers in the wrong places. He warned that those who turn away from prayer will seek comfort in illusions, and those illusions will consume them. This image is frightening and already visible. The rise of addictions, the unchecked consumption of shallow content, the dependence on digital validation, and the escape from reality through distractions all reveal that humanity is trying to numb a pain it cannot name. Padre Pio saw this as a clear sign that faith was being replaced by simulacra, and that such replacement would bring devastating consequences. Another aspect of the prophecies for 2025 is a collapse of trust in institutions. Padre Pio is said to have warned that the pillars of society will be corroded from within, and those who lean on them will fall as well. This connects directly with today's crisis of credibility affecting governments, institutions, leaders, and even science. Extreme polarization, the spread of fake news, manipulation of information, and the loss of moral reference create an environment where no one knows who or what to trust. And this mistrust is not only political, it is existential. People feel lost, directionless, groundless. Padre Pio warned that those without spiritual roots will be carried away by the wind of doubt, suggesting that only deep faith can sustain individuals in this time of confusion. The most disturbing prophecy, however, speaks of a great division among men. Padre Pio mentioned that brothers will turn against brothers, and love will be replaced by fear. Though symbolic, this vision is already manifesting in various ways. Families divided by ideologies, friendships destroyed by opinions, communities fragmented by disputes. The world seems to be turning into an emotional battlefield, where each person wields their version of truth like a weapon. Padre Pio saw this as a sign of the spiritual enemy at work, sowing discord, pride, and intolerance. He warned that evil will not come with horns, but with arguments, meaning that the seduction of error will be subtle, rational, and seemingly logical. But there is also a cosmic dimension to Padre Pio's visions. He spoke a sign in the sky that all will see, but few understand. Many interpret this as a reference to an astronomical event, perhaps a supernova, a planetary alignment, or even an unexplained phenomenon. And signs are already appearing. The intensification of solar storms, reports of unusual lights in the sky, and strange sounds coming from space all fuel the sense that something is approaching. Padre Pio did not see these events as mere scientific curiosities, but as divine messages. He said that the heavens will speak, and those with spiritual ears will understand what is being said. The Church, in this context, would play a decisive role. Padre Pio warned that the altars will be attacked, but those who remain on their knees will be protected. This shows that faith will not be merely a choice, it will be armor. In times of spiritual persecution, mockery of religion, and relativization of truth, those who keep praying will become fortresses. And this is already happening. In many parts of the world, Christians are persecuted, ridiculed, or marginalized. But there is also a quiet resistance, where small groups gather to pray, to study, to keep the flame of faith alive. Padre Pio said that those who pray the rosary will be like torches in darkness, showing that prayer will be the main weapon against chaos. The prophecies attributed to Padre Pio for 2025 continue to unfold as a spiritual mirror of our time. In Part 4, we enter an even deeper dimension, the collective impact of these revelations on the structure of society, human values, and the spiritual destiny of civilization. Padre Pio is said to declare that the world will be like a house without foundations, and when the wind comes, everything will be swept away. This phrase, though symbolic, accurately describes the collapse of the foundations that once sustained human coexistence: trust, truth, compassion, and faith. In 2025, according to his visions, these structures will be tested as never before, and the signs are already everywhere. According to accounts preserved by scholars and the faithful, Padre Pio spoke of a crisis of truth, where deceit will become a norm and lies will be celebrated as virtue. He warned that those who speak the truth will be persecuted, and those who lie will be exalted. This moral inversion is already underway. In various spheres, politics, media, education, religion, truth seems to have lost its value. Relativism prevails, and everyone builds their own version of reality. Padre Pio saw this as a clear sign that the world was moving away from the light. He said that without truth, there is no freedom, and without freedom, there is no salvation. This warning resonates strongly in times when the manipulation of information has become a powerful weapon. Another central point of the prophecies for 2025 is the collapse of empathy. Padre Pio is said to have mentioned that hearts will harden and eyes will no longer see the suffering of others. This phrase connects with the rise of indifference, emotional coldness, and the inability to place oneself in another's shoes. In a hyper-connected world, people seem increasingly disconnected from each other. Loneliness grows, even in the midst of crowds. Violence becomes trivialized. The pain of others turns into spectacle. Padre Pio warned that those who do not weep with those who suffer will suffer alone when their hour comes, indicating that empathy will not only be a virtue, but also a spiritual protection. The economy, according to Padre Pio, would also undergo a radical transformation. He spoke of a time when gold will be dust, and those who hoard will not know what to do with it. This image suggests a collapse of traditional financial systems, a loss of value in material wealth, and a reconfiguration of human priorities. And the signs are already visible. Global inflation, structural unemployment, currency crises, and the rise of new forms of economy all point to profound change. Padre Pio saw this as an opportunity for purification. He said that those who have little but have faith will be richer than those who have everything but do not have God. Technology, though seen by many as a solution, also appears in Padre Pio's visions as a spiritual challenge. He mentioned that men will build towers of light, but will forget the light that comes within. This phrase, spoken decades before the digital age, sounds like a prophetic critique of technological dependence. In 2025, we live surrounded by screens, algorithms, artificial intelligence, but increasingly distant from ourselves. Introspection, contemplation, and silence have become rarities. Padre Pio warned that those who do not listen to their own hearts will be guided by voices that do not love them, suggesting that technology, without spirituality, can become an instrument of alienation. Education, according to Padre Pio, would also be affected. He spoke of schools that teach everything except what is essential. This phrase reveals a critique of intellectual training disconnected from spiritual formation. In 2025, we see curricula that are increasingly technical, pragmatic, and market-oriented, but that ignore values, virtues, and meaning. Padre Pio saw this as a risk for new generations. He said that the young will be like leaves in the wind if they are not rooted in truth. And this lack of roots is already manifesting in identity crises, self-destructive behaviors, and a desperate search for belonging. Culture, in this scenario, also transforms. Padre Pio mentioned that art will be used to confuse, and beauty will be traded for noise. This phrase connects with aesthetic degradation, the trivialization of artistic expression, and the inversion of cultural values. In 2025, we see cultural production marked by superficiality, empty stimulation, and lack of transcendence. Padre Pio saw art as an expression of the divine, and its corruption as a sign of spiritual decay. He said that those who sing for God will be heard even in silence, but those who shout for themselves will be forgotten. The revelations attributed to Padre Pio about what would happen in 2025 not only continue to be confirmed, but are also taking on increasingly intense and disturbing contours. In Part 5, we enter the deepest spiritual dimension of these prophecies, the direct confrontation between invisible forces, the silent battle between good and evil, and the decisive role of the human soul in this struggle. Padre Pio is said to have declared that the world will be the stage of a war that eyes will not see, but hearts will feel. This phrase, though wrapped in mystery, precisely describes what many are already experiencing: a sense of oppression, of spiritual weight, of inner struggle that cannot be explained merely by external factors. According to account preserved by the faithful and scholars, Padre Pio spoke of an invasion of darkness, where evil spiritual entities would manifest more strongly, influencing thoughts, decisions, and behaviors. He warned that the demons will not come with claws, but with ideas. This image is frightening and already visible. The rise of ideologies that promote the destruction of family, the relativization of life, the inversion of moral values, and the glorification of the ego shows that there's a force at work trying to disconnect human beings from their divine essence. Padre Pio saw this as a clear sign that the world was entering a phase of spiritual purification, where every soul will be called to choose its side. He also mentioned that the angels will fight for those who pray, but those who mock the faith will be alone. This phrase reveals that prayer is not just a devotional act. It is a spiritual weapon. In times of tribulation, those who maintain their connection with the divine will be protected by invisible forces. And this is already beginning to manifest. There are reports of people who, in the midst of chaos, find unexplainable peace, supernatural strength, and protection from imminent dangers. Padre Pio is said to declare that those who pray with their hearts will be like walls that evil cannot pass through, indicating that faith will be the shield against darkness. Another central point of the 2025 prophecies is the rise of false miracles. Padre Pio warned that the enemy will perform signs in the sky and on the earth, and many will believe they are from God. This warning is crucial, as it suggests that there will be supernatural manifestations that do not come from the light, but from the shadows. And the signs are already emerging: unexplainable phenomena, dubious apparitions, healings that do not bring peace, revelations that generate confusion. All of these point to a spiritual influence designed to deceive. Padre Pio said, "True miracles will bring humility. False ones will bring pride," showing that discernment will be essential. The spiritual battle, according to Padre Pio, will not only be fought between invisible entities, but within each person. He spoke of a war in the heart, where the ego will be the most dangerous enemy. This connects to the internal struggle that many already face, between the desire for control and surrender, between pride and humility, between fear and faith. In 2025, this battle will intensify. Temptations will be subtler, attacks more psychological, downfalls more silent. Padre Pio said that those who do not know themselves will be dominated by what they do not understand, indicating that self-knowledge will be a spiritual key. The church, in this context, will be called to be more than an institution. It will be a field of spiritual battle. Padre Pio mentioned that the altars will be surrounded by darkness, but those who keep the light burning will be beacons for the lost. This image reveals that temples will not be only places of worship, but spiritual fortresses, and those who attend them with true faith will be like soldiers of the light. All around the world, this movement is already visible. Communities gathering to pray, fast, and intercede. Padre Pio is said to have declared that those who pray together will be like living walls against the advance of evil. But he also warned that many religious leaders would go astray. Some shepherds will become wolves, and their words will be poison disguised as honey, he said. This phrase is disturbing and already being confirmed. Scandals, heresies, spiritual manipulations, ego worship. All of this undermines the trust of the faithful and weakens collective faith. Padre Pio saw this as part of the purification. He said that those who seek God in palaces will not find him, but those who seek him in silence will be visited by the light. Nature, in this scenario, will continue to be a messenger. Padre Pio spoke of days when the sun will seem to weep and the moon will hide in shame. This image, though symbolic, connects with the climatic and astronomical phenomena already underway. He saw these events as signs that the time of choice was drawing near. When the sky changes color, those who are in prayer will know what to do, he said, indicating that the signs will only be understood by those who are spiritually awakened. As we approach the heart of the revelations attributed to Padre Pio about the year 2025, the sense of spiritual urgency intensifies. In Part 6, we enter an even deeper layer, the role of suffering, penance, and redemption in this prophetic time. Padre Pio, known for bearing the stigmata of Christ for more than 50 years, understood suffering not as punishment, but as a path of purification. And according to his accounts, 2025 would be a year in which the entire world would undergo a kind of collective via crucis, a time when pain would become an instrument of transformation. He is said to have declared that those who do not understand the value of the cross will not understand the value of the light. This phrase, though symbolic, reveals that suffering will be inevitable, but also necessary. Padre Pio reportedly spoke of a time when bent knees will be stronger than armies. This powerful image suggests that spiritual resistance will be more effective than any human strategy. In 2025, according to his visions, those who devote themselves to prayer, fasting, penance, and charity will be like invisible pillars upholding the world. And this is already beginning to manifest. In the midst of chaos, there are people who retreat, who sacrifice, who offer their pain as intercession. Padre Pio saw these acts as seeds of redemption. He is said to have declared that every tear offered in faith will be like water washing the world. But he also warned that many would reject this path. Those who seek pleasure in times of pain will drown in their own thirst, he reportedly said. This phrase connects to today's culture, marked by the constant pursuit of comfort, distraction, and emotional anesthesia. Instead of facing pain with faith, many try to escape it through consumption, addictions, and superficiality. Padre Pio saw this as a grave spiritual danger. He is said to have declared that those who do not accept the cross will carry invisible chains that bind them to despair. And this despair is already manifesting in existential crises, self-destructive behaviors, and a collective sense of emptiness. Another central point of the 2025 prophecies is the role of intercession. Padre Pio reportedly said that those who pray for others will be like bridges over the abyss. This image reveals that prayer is not only personal, it is communal, it is universal. In times of tribulation, those who intercede for the lost, the blind, and those in danger become channels of grace. And this is already happening. Prayer groups, intercessory movements, and networks of faith are forming silently, far from the spotlight, yet with profound impact. Padre Pio is said to have declared that those who pray in secret will be seen by heaven as giants. Penance, according to Padre Pio, will be a spiritual key to crossing through 2025. He reportedly spoke of a time when those who humble themselves will be exalted, and those who exalt themselves will be humbled. This spiritual inversion reveals that pride will be one of the greatest obstacles in this time. Those who consider themselves self-sufficient, invulnerable, and superior will be the most affected. But those who recognize themselves as small, dependent, and in need of mercy will be protected. Padre Pio saw penance as an act of love, not of guilt. He is said to have declared that those who kneel out of love will be lifted up by the light. But he also warned that many would reject mercy. Those who do not ask for forgiveness will not understand what is happening, he reportedly said. This phrase is unsettling and is already being confirmed. In a world where sin is denied, guilt is seen as weakness, and mistakes are relativized, the act of asking for forgiveness has become rare. Padre Pio saw this as a sign of spiritual hardening. He is said to have declared that those who do not repent will be like dry trees in a time of fire. And this fire, according to his visions, will not only be physical, it will be spiritual, interior, and purifying. Redemption in this context will be possible, but it will require surrender. Padre Pio reportedly said that those who cross the night with faith will see the sun rise within themselves. This phrase reveals that suffering will not be the end. It will be the beginning of a new light. Those who endure with faith, with hope, and with love will be transformed. And this transformation is already beginning to manifest. There are people who, in the midst of pain, discover a strength they did not know they had, who, in the midst of loss, find meaning, who, in the midst of darkness, ignite an inner flame. Padre Pio saw this as a true miracle of 2025. The church, in this scenario, will be called to be more than a temple. It will be a spiritual hospital. Padre Pio reportedly said that those who enter the temples with an open heart will leave with wings. This image reveals that the sacraments, confession, the Eucharist, and adoration will be sources of deep healing, and those who seek them with true faith will be restored. But he also warned that many temples will become cold, empty, lifeless. Those who turn the house of God into a stage will lose heaven's audience, he reportedly said, indicating that authenticity will be essential. We have reached the conclusion of this journey through Padre Pio's visions, and what is revealed is not just a set of warnings, but a spiritual calling without precedent. Part 7 is the summit of this path, where prophetic time meets present time, and where every soul is called to take a stand. Padre Pio is said to have declared that the time of choice will not be announced but felt, and this sensation is already beating in the hearts of millions. The year 2025 is not just a date, it is a portal, a turning point where the world as we know it will be confronted with its very essence. According to accounts preserved by the faithful monks and scholars, Padre Pio reportedly spoke of a silence that will precede the roar. This phrase, though enigmatic, perfectly describes the current atmosphere, a tense calm, a restless waiting, a sense that something is about to happen. It is not about catastrophic predictions, but about a change of frequency. The world is vibrating in a new tone, and those who do not adjust to it will feel its effects intensely. Padre Pio is said to have declared that those who listen with the Spirit will know what to do, but those who listen with fear will be lost in the noise. The spiritual battle, already unfolding in the heart, will intensify. He reportedly mentioned that those who are in the light will be attacked, but not defeated. This phrase reveals that those who remain in faith, prayer, charity, and humility will be targeted, but also protected. In 2025, according to his visions, there will be a clear separation between those who live for themselves and those who live for God. And this separation will not be made by human hands, but by spiritual vibration. Padre Pio is said to have declared that those who love will be lifted up, those who hate will be dragged down. Nature will continue to be a messenger. He reportedly said that there will be days when the sky will seem to fall and the earth will seem to rise. This image, though symbolic, connects with the extreme weather events, earthquakes, and astronomical signs already unfolding. But he saw these events not as punishment, but as awakeners. Each thunder will be a call, each lightning bolt a revelation, he reportedly said. And those who listen to these calls with open hearts will be guided. Those who ignore them, out of pride or distraction, will be left at the mercy of confusion. The church, in this time, will be restored from within. Padre Pio reportedly said that the walls will fall, but the altar will be rebuilt with pure hands. This phrase reveals that the institutional structure will undergo tremors, scandals, divisions, but the essence of faith will be preserved by the humble, the simple, the ones who pray in silence. He is said to have declared that those who are faithful in secret will be revealed as pillars of the new church. And this new church will not be made of stone, but of souls. It will not be measured by numbers, but by light. It will not be guided by power, but by love. Humanity as a whole will be called to conversion. Padre Pio reportedly said that there will be a time when all will see the mirror of the soul, and some will not endure the reflection. This powerful image is already beginning to manifest. In the midst of chaos, many people are being confronted with their shadows, fears, and wounds. And this confrontation, though painful, is necessary. He is said to have declared that those who look at themselves with sincerity will be healed. Those who hide will be consumed. Healing will come through truth. Salvation will come through humility. Light will come through surrender. But he also warned that there would be resistance. Those who mock faith will be the ones who suffer the most, for they will have nowhere to lean when the ground shakes, he reportedly said. This phrase reveals that spiritual pride will be one of the greatest obstacles. Those who consider themselves superior, self-sufficient, and invulnerable will be the most affected. But those who recognize themselves as small, dependent, and in need of mercy will be protected. Padre Pio saw humility as a shield, as a key, as a way. He is said to have declared that those who kneel out of love will be lifted up by the light. Redemption, in this context, will be possible, but it will demand total surrender. He reportedly mentioned that those who cross the night with faith will see the sun rise within themselves. This phrase encapsulates the entire spiritual logic of his visions. Suffering will not be the end, but the beginning. Pain will not be punishment, but purification. Darkness will not be defeat, but preparation for light. And those who accept this process with faith, hope, and love will be transformed. Padre Pio is said to declare that those who accept the cross will be embraced by the light that never fades. And now, reader, the choice is ours, not as spectators, but as protagonists. For prophetic time is not a movie, it is a mirror, and what we see in it depends on what we carry within ourselves.